Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are live. Hey, everybody. It is Erin from Erin Reed Makes, and today we're going to make some masculine cards. Now, I know masculine cards can be difficult because we tend to go girly, at least I do, but if you have the right stamp set and the right papers and the right layout or kind of blueprint, masculine cards are really simple. And this card kit from Close to My Heart is perfect for those masculine cards, especially if you have somebody who's a little outdoorsy. It's awesome. So we are going to learn how to take this card and we're going to do a couple of different variations. I'm also going to show you how you can do a two-tone stamp. This is a singular stamp right here. So, and we're going to do this part first. So this is a singular stamp. I'm going to show you how to add two different colors, both the black, and then we're going to actually switch it around and do this one in green this time. And so it's pretty cool. And then we're going to have some green trees. So we're going to be playing around with different portions of this stamp set and playing with the dies. So how I got the other shapes. So let's jump in while we're here. All right, so, and this is a Slimline card. I think it just adds a little bit more fun to do something a little bit different. The papers all come in the kit, and as always, supplies are down in the information section. So that's the prototype I made. Now I'm going to show you, and we're going to do a little bit of a different version of the prototype. Okay, now I already have one thing in here ready to go, and that is, oh, here's my other one. I went ahead and die cut out two of these shapes already, just out of white paper. That die shape comes with it already because it fits the stamp set that I have connected to my Misty already. So this is the die, and I was like, you know what? I already have the shape. I don't have to use the stamp, the die that goes to the stamp. I can use just the shape all by itself, which is awesome. And so what I did is I die cut it out, and this time we're going to use the first time I did it, I'm going to use this because it's just easier. I just used the little fishing fly piece right here. Hello from the Netherlands. That's where my grandmother is from. But this time we're going to use the hook that is in the little circle shape. Now there is a circle, so if you wanted to stamp and die cut this and then place it in the diamond, you totally could. You could also place the diamonds instead of horizontally, you could place them vertically and have fun with that. So what I did, and I'll just kind of show you, I have this little image right here. It was there from a long time ago, and I used it for another card. And I lined up my diamond image using the background of my stamping platform. And then I placed my stamp perfectly on here. So I just made sure everything was lined up, and so it's going to line up and be perfectly centered on here. And this one we're going to be doing in, oh no, I have the wrong one. We're going to do, sorry, this one, I used the wrong. We're going to use this one. Actually, this is a different card. We're going to be using the other shape. I had this all, I'll show you how to line this. We're going to use this shape on this card. Oopsie, I had a plan and I messed up. So let's just redo this. I haven't stamped it yet, so it makes life easy. For this one, we're actually going to do the tree. And because the tree fits on this shape horizontally and vertically, but it doesn't fit horizontally on here very well. It just barely fits. If I wanted to do this shape vertically, it'd be perfect, but that's not what I want to do for this card. So I got to rearrange this. So I'm going to move these guys. So they're just, I mean, this piece is already lined up perfectly. So I'm going to move my tree so it lines up just perfect on here, because I'm doing this one in green and the other one I'm doing with the red. So, or I could do it in green as well. Doesn't matter. Okay, line that up, lift up, there we go. Okay, so now that that's lined up, get my red, and this is just, oh, I'm sorry, get my green. Red tree would look kind of funny. So I'm just gonna stamp this one, sorry. I got thrown off because we were doing something different. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stamp this in my green tree. There we go. Now you could do something really cool, which would be that you could do one stamp that is a first generation, and then you could do a second generation if you just shifted it over, but I'm not going to do that. What I mean by a second generation, I'll just show you on the back of this. You would have it stamped again, and it's just barely there. So you could do that with the trees if you wanted to. For this particular card, I don't want to do that. So now I have this lined up perfectly. All I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my little diamond piece again. So it fits exactly. That's why I put that marking there, because I know that's where the bottom piece needs to be. Line that up there again. Do a quick double check to make sure my magnets are not in the way, and they are not. And like I said, you could have fun with this and do second generations. You could also do the first stamp and then on this piece, replaced it, and I could have done a second generation on this tree, so it's a lighter color tree. Lots of ways to play around with that. And then just stamp that on there. Now we have our 2 trees. And I know the color is not 100% matching. Like, I actually have a little bit of a wrong green. There's better greens that would match, but I'm thinking it's a tree and I don't care. And the same with the red. The red is not exactly the right color of red. But these are the only, I don't have any other red and green. So this is what I got. So that's what I'm using. Just because it doesn't match perfectly doesn't mean you can't use it. It still will work and it'll still be amazing. If you have the perfect matching color, more power to you. Okay, so those are done now. And I still need my green. The next thing is we are going to stamp this image. And there's 2 colors we need. We need the black. And I need a piece of paper to stamp on, which I have right here. And I already have it on there, so I'm just going to use, we're going to die cut this out, so it doesn't matter how perfectly this fits. There's no lining up on this one. I just need to stamp it. Okay, so it's on there. It's not coming loose. And then what you're going to need is little daubers. And we're going to be doing a lot of stamping back and forth to make sure it's crisp and clear. When I had the red one, I only used red. If I have a black, I only use it for black. For green, I only use it for green. Don't intermix your colors or you're going to get some funky stuff happening. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink whatever I can just by using my stamp pad. I do not want to stamp right here. See where it already is kind of red? Well, we're actually going to do that in green today. Where did you get these ink pads? These ink pads are from Close to My Heart. And these are I have 4 of these total. This is a solvent-based permanent ink pad. It's awesome because, can you guys hear it? It's magnetic. So I never have to worry about the top falling off. I can also place this upside down so I can have this ready to go at all times. So it's ready. When I put the ink back on, it's sealed tight. So these little guys, or they're not little, they're big. They're gonna last a long, long time. The other cool thing, because they're magnetic, they stack nicely with each other. So they're not gonna pull apart. So they stack really well when you put them all together. So you can stack, 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 and they have their labels on the sides. So they're awesome. I've used a ton of different colors of inks over the years and brands. And this one, because this is solvent-based, you can use it with your alcohol-based pens. The colors are water-based, so that means you can't use them with your alcohol pens. And so because they're water-based, you can reactivate them with water, so you can use them like a watercolor. So, but I think just the design of this is amazing because I've had so many ink pads that when I stored it, it just was like a tiny bit off or a little air got through and it dried it out. And I was like, that sucks. Okay, so notice I don't have like full stamp action happening here, right? That's cool. That's why we have our dauber. And I'm going to activate a new one. Now, the cool thing about the dauber is that you don't have to continue to get new ones each time. Because this is green, I'll just keep using it with green. And some people are really picky about only this green. Don't intermix your greens. That's a personal preference. If you're really super specific about making sure that this only is for this green, then I would label it or something. But for me, I'm like, green is green, as long as it's not super pale green. But if it's in the darker range of greens, I'll use it. Obviously, black will be working for black. For browns, it's the same concept. So I'm going to take my dauber. This is the only thing I haven't listed in the information section, so I'll do that for you. So take my dauber, get it nice and juicy. And let me move this over so you guys can really see what I'm doing. I got so much crap on my desk, it's not even funny. All right, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to add ink just to that little fly. The cool thing about a fishing fly is that they come in tons and tons of colors. So I'm just going to daub this on here. Okay, and then I just store it up and then come in and stamp that one piece. And if I'm like, oh, that's not quite dark enough, I can come in. I think I did a pretty good job, but you can always come in and like clean up any spots. Now, obviously we are not done with this stamp yet because we still have some missing pieces. I don't want to get my big giant ink pad. So I'm gonna close this real fast so I don't lose, it doesn't air out. So I'm gonna get the big guy back again, the black one. And we're gonna fill in the gaps now. Sorry, flip it over, magnetic that way. And we're gonna use our black dauber. So now we're gonna come in and very carefully, you're going to come in and fill in all the gaps that I missed. So I'm getting all the words. And so this is where a stamping platform is perfect, because I'm like, okay, where did I miss? Okay, I missed up here. So that's really where I need to hit. So you might have to go back and forth because it just wasn't quite dark enough, because you're transferring the ink. You're not getting a direct impression. So just keep working it through. And this is, like I said, this is where a stamping platform is awesome, because it's really going to help you line everything up perfectly, because nothing is shifting on here. And that's how you can get those really cool. So I need a little bit more on the top on the arrow. So any stamps that you have, you can do this concept where you can get a couple of different colors. And I think I'm good. And now I've got 2 different types. Perfect impact. Surely, oh wait, you know, it's totally designed that I'm guessing. Now, these little daubers, these actually come from scrapbook.com. They're awesome. And they stack. So you're not having to, and there's a whole bunch that come in one package. So I actually store these in a drawer. I keep all my washi tape in, and it fits great. So now there's another way of, you still tells you very specifically how to place them, what to use the strips for, what colors of the paper to use. I mean, it really details everything. So I saw that they had done this exact same thing that I just showed you. And I was like, that is awesome. I need to show people how to do that, because it looks really, really cool. And so you get everything. You get the stamps, you get the dies, you get the papers. And then it also comes with these little wooden shapes. So you get all these little wooden shapes that come with it. But I always like showing you guys, if for any reason you happen to get this kit, alternate uses for it. And then also, if you don't want this kit, I just want to show you some fun techniques. And this I thought was a really cool technique out of this. Number 1, masculine cards are awesome. And number 2, how to use your colored inks, because I have like 3 colored inks that are decent. Some of them are some of my inks are starting to get kind of old, but I've picked these up and I'm like, how can I use them more often? And I saw their examples for the card. I'm like, that's amazing. I'm going to do that. So I had to share. Had to share. All right, so I'm just die cutting that out. Love that little machine. It's so awesome. All right, so I've die cut out that little piece. Don't worry, I've die cut everything else out for us so far. So you don't worry about that. Now, when I lined this card up, and I just like the look of the trees. I totally could go with the fly again. I thought that would look pretty. I thought these guys looked a little plain. How do you get a hold of a demo from close to my heart? I mean, how do I get a hold of a demo? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. How do I get a hold of supplies, or how do I? Their video? I think I need clarification of what you're asking for so I can answer you properly. I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding what you're asking me. If you're asking how did I get a hold of this, they had contacted me because I do videos, and they said, would you be happy with us sending you some products so you could help promote the company? And then I have affiliate links down below that I make a percentage of if you buy anything. So it doesn't cost you anything to click on the link any more than normally would. I just make a little bit of profit. So I am not a demonstrator. That's not me. I'm a different category for them. So I don't purchase these products and then sell them to you. I'm a different category. I'm just an affiliate promoter. That's the best way to describe it. So, but if you wanted to try to become a demonstrator, there is a way when you go to the website that you can request to become a person, I guess. Like they have sellers, they have consultants. That's the word, consultants. I guess I'm a demonstrator. I guess that's the best way to describe that. And they contacted me because they found my channel and they saw that what I was doing. And so I was like, yeah, because I've heard of their products and I've been playing with their products for years. And I'm like, I'm not really much of a scrapbooker anymore. I'm more of a card maker and I do other paper crafts. But they saw that I had my card making Wednesday. So they contacted me and I was very, very happy. So it was pretty cool. So that's how that started. How it all seems to manifest. All the companies that I work with, a lot of them have been like, hey, we like you. I'm like, that's cool. I like that too. So it just kind of comes out of the woodworks, it seems. All right. So I loved the look of this. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm just looking at how that is such a cool thing. You could put a fourth one there. Oh, sorry. I'll have to play with that. I'm loving this diamond shaped. And I like how they can kind of, but the rounded diamonds, I'm just loving this little thing. That's cool. Okay, what I really like, sorry, complete squirrel on that scenario. I liked the outlining of this. And so there's no way that I'd be able to stamp just, I mean, I could mask it, but I was like, you know what? I got a pen and all I have to do is outline suckers. So I just took a black pen, and I'm not going to try and double it because that would just be, if you really want to do that, go for it. You could leave it plain, but I loved the look of the outline. Oops, don't do what I just did. Have a steady hand. If this does not suit you, if you're like, I'm going to do that too often and that's just too much of a peanut to yourself, don't worry about that. But I just thought it add a little bit of something to this. So I definitely do better going down than I do going up. So I'm going to keep rotating this and pull down because that's where my strength lies in my drawing capabilities. And just a nice black pen. This happens to be an Arteza black pen, but any good black pen works. Okay, so now we have our 3 pieces. Let's just assemble. I already have all the card bases set so you guys can see. So since this, whoa, where'd it go? I just had to drop, oops, sorry. Sorry, a little piece I cut fell down as I picked it up. Ta-da! Okay, so I have my Slimline card base, which is, this is, I have to do it this way, sorry. 8.5 by 7. I have to orientate it the way I cut it. Otherwise, I'm like, what was the direction? So you fold it in half. Slimline cards are like what I would call probably the more popular size, just because it's new and fun. But there's tons and tons of card base sizes. Okay, now in the papers that came in the kit, which with whatever papers you want to use, I love that it came with this masculine card. And what I did is, and if you have papers in your stash, you can do the same thing. Pick colors that go well. I would pick like a couple of patterns, and this is a pattern paper that's on both sides. Like I used 1 pattern paper, and we're going to make 3 cards out of that. And even for the little bits, 2 sheets of colored cardstock is all we needed. Hello, everybody. We got Denise. We've got, oh, I'm not, Wendy is here, and then iBag. I'm not sure what your name is, but hello. I know you said it to me at one point, and I just can't remember off the top of my head. So this came with 2 colored cardstocks and then just a white base. There's a darker side and a lighter side. So if you were going to pick out papers that you would deem to be masculine, same thing. Pick one that's got kind of a pattern paper that you like both sides of it, and then mix and match. So for this card, I did the green as a background. I did the pattern paper with the moose, and oh, let me show you. I have it right here. This one's got, this is kind of fun. So it's very outdoorsy looking. We've got deer, we've got wolves, we have be brave, be bold. I love it's got all kinds of fun stuff, very mountainy looking on the outside, very masculine looking or just outdoorsy. And then I just play with the layers. So I did the green, then the pattern paper, then the blue, and then the other side of the pattern paper, which happens to look like wood grain. So for this card, the background I'm going to do in the blue. And then I'm going to keep that same concept again, where I have this pattern, but now I'm going to use the wood grain and then a strip of the green. So I'm just changing the colors and the orientation, same card, same design, just rotating what colors are where. So now I won't run out of all my blue because I'm using a big blue and then I'm using a smaller blue, which was in this one. So it gives your paper, so I use 1 sheet of cardstock for these, all 3 cards, because change the sizes of stuff, not including the whites. So it's a great way to kind of stretch your 1 sheet of paper. And truthfully, you should see my little pile. I would have enough. This is the pile left over. I would have enough to make another card. Easy, easy, easy. Because I could do this piece and then I have this piece, and I didn't cut. I cut stupid on a couple of things. So if I cut better, I would have enough to make a 4th card. No problem. Very, very easily have a 4th card. And if I didn't do slimlines, probably even like more than that. So just change out which ones are which, and you get a little more life to your cards. A little more bang for your buck. So I love cards where I can get a card for just a few sheets of paper. I feel like I'm getting a good deal on my investment there, which is great, right? Okay, and then, and also when I cut my cards, So when you cut, you've got a section. That's what I did all my stamping and stuff on. And I just used 3 8.5 by 11 card bases. So I'm just layering all this on. Love my Xyron, love Xyron. I wanted to make this really simple, but it really amps it up when you start adding your layers to your cards, because it gives you all those just fun layers, and it makes it look a little bit more. So tip to making layers look perfect. Now I just eyeballed this, but for these pieces, I'm going to show you my tip. So my mat right here, my little board that I have here, I got this thing from Arteza, and you're only seeing a portion of it. It actually is 36 inches wide by 26 inches in depth. So you're only seeing a portion of my mat. And I love it for a lot of reasons. And the number one is because it's got the markings on the background. I use it all the time. I don't have to pull something else out to do my measurements to get things to line up. Now, I know my card length is 8.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, okay, 8.5. And each one of these squares is 1 inch. I'm going to go a titch on either side, and that's going to eat up the half, right? So now my card, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the midway of my card. So I'm going to add a little adhesive to the back of this guy. And you could pop this up. If you've got pop dots, you could totally do that. I chose not to. And I'm going to angle, anchor. Okay, I still can't say the word. I am going to make the tip of this little piece match that line. That's the word. And then because I've got this strip that's right smack in the middle here, I'm going to line this up right here. And that's how I can get that lined up like that and perfectly right in the middle. There we go. I really need guy cards. I totally, with my sons and their birthdays, and I always keep these cards on hand, and I send them off for my husband and his birthday, or we have boy birthdays that we're going, that we have now. I'm always in lack because my daughter loves the cutesy cards, and we give the cutesy cards to a lot of the birthdays and a lot of the events. But a guy, if they got a cutesy card, like, yay. Some guys are different. I will totally agree to that, that they'll love other stuff. My husband would love an outdoorsy card because he's a very outdoorsy guy. He's not really into cards either, but if he got a card and really appreciated the card, he would enjoy this. My father would also be one that would enjoy this card as well because he's a very outdoorsy kind of guy. So once I layered this piece on, all I did was just lined up these ones on either side, and it lines up. And so here is the same card, just changing up the color schemes on them. I changed up the colors, changed up the image on there, but it's the same idea. So just to change it up even more, but it's the same thing, but just a little bit different. Here we go. Oh no, my phone is ringing, and it shouldn't be. Go away. I don't need to talk right now. I usually turn everything on silent, and I totally forgot to do that today. So for this card, I did something a little bit different. We changed it to the rectangles. So I need to stamp the rectangle, and for this card, it is perfectly centered. Here we go, because I'm going to have it go sideways. There, line this up, line this up. And so I'm actually going to use my pen because I want to make sure I don't misalign. So all I'm doing is I'm giving myself a guide. So when I do the second one, they're lined up. So I know don't go past those two lines, and I'm lined up. I think I'm lined up on that. Yeah, I'm lined up right on this bottom line right here. And I have a whole pad of these, so I just pitch them when I'm done, and they get gross. I just throw them away. So that is how that lines up. Stick my little magnets on there. And then I line this right up in the center. So this one's easy because the length of this, one of these lines right here is right smack in the center. So I'm just going to line this up right here. There we go. And I think I'm going to do my anchor in red. Oops. Here. So that's, if it lifts, because it lifted that up, I'm just going to make sure that this is perfectly aligned. There we go. So it's a little bit of some adjustments. I'm going to angle this in the top. It was too close to the hinge. And green or red. I don't want to do one of each color because then it looks too Christmas if I try and blend the colors. But you know what? We have this, So these are the colors I'm using for the background. And since I have this red and my red is not the same color, I have candy red apple, and this is more of like a rustic red. I'm going to do the green. Even though I have green here, I just think it's a little less obvious, little not so face. Oh, that color is not matching perfectly. So in this one, we're just doing a direct stamp, just a direct stamp. Stamp, stamp, stamp. That looks great. Again, there is a die that's the round that fits that perfectly, that you could do that and then just pop it up on this little image. But I thought it was kind of cool to kind of turn it on its head and use an image and then just stamp in the middle of it. So if you don't have this particular shape, how could you discard? Well, can you cut a square? Can you cut your own rectangle? And then can you round the corners? Totally. And just use whatever stamps you have. And you can line up, especially these little fun ones that you might have little small shapes. And then you have a sentiment that you could put in the middle of the square or the middle of the rectangle. Or if you have a star would work. So there's so many ways using shapes you already have to play around with the same concept where you have, I mean, you may not have diamond like I do, but you can cut a rectangle to get the same concept. My dad would love an outdoor guy. Yeah, it's outdoors. Gotta love it outdoors. I'm gonna do the same thing with this. I'm gonna do the bordering going around really fast. You could also do a stitched edge, but since this has the border, I just figured I'd match the same concept. And if you don't have a fancy black pen, which this is not really oops, I went a little off. I'm talking too much. A regular black ballpoint pen will work just fine. You don't need anything really fancy just to do the outlining like I just did. So that's the cool thing. There's so many stuff you don't need fancy stuff for. Some things I will say are worth the extra expense to get. Get a good stamping platform. Whatever brand you like, get a good one. I think you do a lot of stamping. There's so many, like today, what we did today, there's no way that you'd be able to do that without having the stamping platform with the 2 tones of ink, the way I showed you how to do it, I should say. All right, so now layer our cards. Again, changing up the colors, the orientation of what pieces go where, playing with the colors. So now we're going to layer another color, and I've done all the other cards. I did, if you noticed, I did a solid with the pattern. This time I did the pattern in the back with a solid, and so I'm adding another solid. So to change it up a little bit, I thought this pattern paper will look too funny, too skinny, but most cardstocks, most papers that you get now, on one side it has usually like the information and usually a barcode because they're for sale at stores and stuff. So when you flip it over, in that bottom section, they give you that little bonus tab. And so this was an extra piece of paper I didn't use. And that's where I got this strip. So the colors match and it's like an extra little bonus something. So it's perfect for this card and this strip. And actually that was the inspiration because I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to have another layer. Originally, I was just, excuse me, I just burped. Originally, I did this as the card. And I actually did it with the diamonds. And I liked it because it was going, but then I put this card together and I was like, that looks too plain, especially with the big amount of blue on there. It was just too plain. I just didn't like it. And I'm glancing at the paper, and this was literally 10 minutes before I went live because I already had made my prototype. And this was the original prototype. I was like, oh, what if I put a banner through the middle? And I saw this, that's the perfect thing. So I cut them all to length. I changed up the colors for whatever was there and added one more element. I literally ripped everything off that card to put the banner on there. It works. It works. It works. It works. It works. It works. And so then I got my banner and place that on there. And then you can pop these up or just glue them straight on it. And again, I'm going to line this guy up exactly the same way I did before. So it's 8.5. So I'm just going to do the little quarters on each side. So here's my middle piece. And then just place, this one doesn't have a point to give me a center, so I have to eyeball my center. And then these ones, I'm not going to go next to each other. So I'm actually going to, on either side of here, so I've got this 1-incher, I'm kind of laying this center right up in that 1-incher, just using my eyes to guide that. So they become equidistant. Same here. using this square and just kind of going vertically up, using this little banner I have here as my guide for from top to bottom. So now I have a guide from this direction and from this direction to place that down. And there is that card. So you can go with a plain background, you can go with a patterned background, you could do this with all solid cardstocks, totally up to you. Play with your shapes. I love a slimline card because you can really get a lot of territory. Die set. This Stampin' die set is called Timber. Yeah, Timber. It's just called Timber. So it's called Timber, as in like timber. And they do give you 4 designs and all the information about how to make these cards on there. But then here is another example of what you can use with your stamps and papers that you might have left over, because maybe you're just like, I only like that one or whatever. And I hope you guys enjoyed how to create the 2-toned look on your card. So how you can get 2 colors on a single stamp with, and if you missed it, check out the beginning of the video because I showed you guys how to do that. And look at your stamps and dies a little differently. So just take a look at your basic shapes. And even though this shape went with that die, there's nothing wrong with me taking and making another shape and putting a different image in the middle and making it a little bit more fun. So thank you guys again so much. Links for all the supplies I use are down in the information section. Have an amazing, amazing day. Stay safe. And I will see you guys again later.